Hello, friends, travellers, and that one bot subscriber I'm bound to have by now that I shall dub Christopher. In this video, I won't be discussing the mechanics or lore of the Gungeon, but rather the future of its development and the future of its creators, Dodgeroll Studios. Dodgeroll recently released a long Reddit post as well as an interview with Nintendo Everything discussing the future of Enter the Gungeon, possible updates, and their next game. It's common knowledge by now that Dodgeroll for a while has been teasing a large paid expansion to Enter the Gungeon as DLC. This, according to the Reddit post, will no longer be happening due to a number of factors. 1. Gungeon is a very old game to Dodgeroll by now, and their programmers have improved a lot since starting. However, this means that bits and bobs of Gungeon code vary in quality depending on when they were implemented, and every time they add something new, they have to navigate years-old code to try and get it to work. Shaky foundations to build on. 2. Every time a new gun or item is added into Gungeon, it has to undergo extensive testing and bug fixing just to make sure nothing breaks anything else. Dodgeroll puts extreme effort into making sure no reasonable item combination can result in a broken game. This problem only gets worse with each new thing added. 3. Dodgeroll is a small team, only 2 programmers on the whole thing, with the rest working on art and story and such. This isn't a problem in itself, but it makes it much more difficult for them to bear the load presented by the 2 problems above. 4. Dodgeroll just wants to move on. They want to make new games that have the framework and technical ability from the get-go to handle the things that they want to implement. They want to tell new weird stories and create new weird characters. I can't fault them for that. They've worked their asses off on Gungeon for 5 years, and anything new they make, I'll support wholeheartedly. Now, all that's not to say that this is the end for Gungeon. While the paid DLC has essentially been cancelled, Dodgeroll has stated that they're working on a smaller, free DLC for the game to take its place, something that they can reasonably expect to achieve without making the fans rabid from hype over time, like AG&D did. Now that that's out of the way, what can we expect from this smaller expansion? Not much has been given away, but I'll list what we've been told. It'll supposedly include around 10 new items, around 20 new guns, an unknown amount of new synergies, bug fixes for annoying issues such as crashing, with special focus on fixing crashes on consoles, performance improvements for console play, particularly on the Nintendo Switch, and probably most interestingly, a new playable character. Dodgeroll's only called them the Paradox character so far, though we do have confirmation as to what their gimmick is. Similarly to a character like Eden in The Binding of Isaac, this Paradox character will start with random items and weapons. Makes me think of that weird, almost broken Eevee character I talked about a while ago who would change form between all the Gungeoneers whenever they dodge-rolled or did something. Constantly shifting implies randomness, but maybe I'm mistaken. Also confirmed is the fact that the Paradox character will not have their own past, instead going to a random past of one of the 6 main Gungeoneers, should you use the gun. So, after that update, will that be the end for Gungeon? Well, the devs seem to be reluctant to set anything in stone, even going as far as to state, further down the line there will also likely be some other Gungeon news, but we can't go into detail yet. We are doing some experiments that hopefully you will enjoy. My conclusion from all of this is that, while we may be on the verge of the last significant update, Gungeon will never die. Dodgeroll may move on to new games, but they'll continue experimenting with Gungeon, whatever that means. And on the bright side, if Gungeon settles down and stops updating, maybe we'll see a resurgence in the modding community, since Gungeon updates tend to break mods like a hot chainsaw through a window. That's really where what we know about the future of Gungeon ends. I'm going to finish the video by relaying a list of what's been confirmed about their next game, so that we can all speculate. I'll keep tabs on this next game myself and occasionally discuss developments. 1. Dodgeroll is prepared to spend years on this thing, so it won't exactly be quick, but it also won't be small or low quality, which is awesome. 2. They've stated in many ways that their next game will be, quote, more ambitious than Enter the Gungeon, whatever that means. 3. They will be using what they've learned from Gungeon to build a proper game foundation to avoid the problems they've run into on developing Gungeon updates. This'll let them put things into this game that will be impossible to put in Gungeon without completely overhauling the entire thing. 4. This game will not be Gungeon 2. I don't know how related it will be to Gungeon, but it will not be a direct sequel. Gungeon will not become a series. 5. Dodgeroll plans to do its best to keep the weird and wacky Gungeon humor style in this game. I think we'd all be disappointed if it wasn't, let's be honest. 6. They plan on keeping the challenge of Gungeon and its reactive combat, meaning its main style of combat will almost certainly be some form of bullet hell. 7. They expect their next game to be fairly art-intensive, to the point of possibly hiring artists for contract work on the game. 8. The game will have a pixel aesthetic, like Enter the Gungeon. 9. The game will utilize quasi-3D mechanics in a similar way to how Gungeon's secretly a 3D game. If you didn't know that, look it up. However, Dave Crooks has said they plan on trying to, quote, push that to the next level, whatever that means. 10. They're building the engine for this game in such a way that, while they're still on the fence about implementing online multiplayer in this next game, it will actually be physically possible should they make up their minds to do it. And the most important one, 11. The game will contain dodge rolling, because without the dodge roll, it wouldn't be a Dodge Roll Games game. And yeah, I hope that's helped put all of this news in order for you. I'll put my sources in the video description if you want to read through them yourself. I hope you will enjoy watching where Dodgeroll goes from here and what they do next. In the meantime, I've got to go default dance in the hills by the light of the full moon. See ya!